We now live in what author Tom Hayes calls the 10-year century. Events that take place in the course of a lifetime are compressed into the duration of a childhood. Since 2000, we have experienced 3 economic bubbles, more than one devastating terrorist attack, wars and unrest, a global influenza pandemic which fortunately turned out not to be. Sensing what the future might bring has never been so important, nor so difficult. A constant challenge a futures group like the MTI Futures Group faces is how to balance the forward-looking nature of the research topics with practical implications. Too far out into the future, and we are talking about flying cars and jetpacks. Ideas that are too far removed from reality and will not be taken seriously. Too pragmatic, and we could lose the ability to see blind spots and detect weak but potentially disruptive trends. The MTI Futures Group members find ourselves playing the role of a scout who is on the lookout for an anticipated event just over the horizon. The team also tries to catch trends that might fall through the gaps because it may look at the same issues, but from a different perspective and from a much longer time frame. Let me give an example. At the end of 2007, the world experienced an unprecedented spike in the price of oil, which led to unexpected food price shocks. The MTI Futures Group had, just prior to that, produced a research piece on the future of food, anticipating the food price shocks, but also identifying mitigating threats and opportunities in the agricultural industry. In the study, we had highlighted how other countries were setting up overseas food zones to address the longer-term food needs of their populations. We shared the study at various government platforms, coinciding with the beginning of conversations of whether Singapore should set up overseas food zones. In May 2010, the Ministry overseeing National Development announced collaboration with the Jilin Food Zone project in China. The second challenge is in leveraging networks. How do we pick up weak signals, cross silos, and disseminate insights? MTI is not a particularly large ministry, but it can be easy for silos to form. A vast pool of knowledge and expertise already exists within the ministry and its agencies. To be effective, the Futures Group has had to leverage and connect with these sources, both to inform and validate our work, as well as platforms to receive ideas and research findings. We also tap into the wider government network of FORESIGHT teams through sharing of methodologies and doing joint projects. This has been invaluable in helping the Futures Group ramp up our FORESIGHT capabilities. The third challenge is in translating. How do we translate ideas into actionable insights that impact policy? Having a rich pool of ideas does not mean that it is clear how they would inform policy decisions. The ideas still need that gestation period to breathe, percolate, and develop into insight and strategy. For example, the Futures Group undertook a study on batteries in 2008, but it was not until we highlighted the implication for electric vehicles that an idea like batteries became actionable insights for the Singapore Energy Market Authority, which then set up an interagency task force to look at the feasibility of test-bedding electric vehicles in Singapore. Let me illustrate how all of this comes together. During the 2008 global economic crisis, MTI, like the rest of the public service, was very busy. There were many conflicting signals on how the economy might unfold. The reality was that we understood and could make sense of very little about what was happening. At the same time, we were under immense time pressure to deliver policy solutions. At that time, the Futures Group partnered with the economists at the ministry and embarked on a study to look at the future of global demand, how the post-crisis world might look like after all the dust has settled. With the global financial crisis, the short term was like moving through a volatile and uncertain fog as economies and the financial system sought to adapt and respond. But the key question in all of this was, which future will emerge? This is where the ministry found that having a dedicated futures unit to do foresight analysis and suggest possible paths beyond the fog was very useful. The Future of Global Demand study postulated 3 possible future scenarios and gave clarity at a time of great chaos. We were able to use the insights from the research in many ways to explain the crisis to our colleagues at MTI and the statutory boards through an informational video to set the context for discussions at the Economic Strategies Committee through a report on the scenarios and their implications, and to inform the wider government through an article in the Civil Service College publication, Ethos. So where do we go from here? The MTI Futures Group continues to seed conversations about what the future might bring. Through these conversations, we hope to challenge mindsets and sensitize decision makers to the unexpected and contribute to better and more informed decision making within the government.